When thinking about a slip and slide, most people think of a safe and fun activity, especially on a hot day. But from the 60s all the way to the early 2000s, it was discovered just how hazardous a slip and slide can be. Multiple fatal injuries have been reported around the world, often related to one particular slip and slide. Adults, teens, and even children have been seriously injured whilst sliding around with their friends. In the worst cases, some adults eventually died of their injuries. Who would have thought all this summer fun would turn out to be fatal? In 1961, a company called Whammo released the first ever slip and slide. This slide was around 16 feet in length and sprayed water from the inflatable bumper rails on either side. Children often added dish soap on the slide to give themselves as much speed as possible. The slide proved to be very popular as over 300,000 units were sold in just the first 8 weeks. The slip and slide was advertised for children aged 5 to 11 years old as the best backyard water slide to ever exist. However, when the time came to play on the slip and slide, some adults just couldn't resist getting in on the fun. Parents would join their children taking turns to slide down the inflatable slip and slide. As the adults reached the end of the slide, they would come to an abrupt stop, often causing their bodies to jolt forward while the pressure would travel to their spine and neck. The sudden stop would often cause injuries like whiplash, spinal trauma, and sometimes even death. By the 70s, an estimate of around 7 adults and 1 child had been seriously injured by the slip and slide. This included 1 reported death as well as an 8-year-old girl who suffered from brain damage. Whammo decided to take the slip and slide off the market. But this wasn't the end. The tragedy only grew bigger. In 1982, a company by the name of Kransco purchased Whammo. Kransco believed it was a great and safe invention for children, not adults. Therefore, they made the disastrous decision to bring back the slip and slide, hoping adults had learnt their lesson. In 1987, somewhere in Wisconsin, a 34-year-old man named Michael Hubert spotted his neighbors using the notorious slip and slide. Michael couldn't resist and decided to join them. After having to wait to use the slip and slide, it was finally Michael's turn. As Michael reached the bottom of the slide, his body was jolted forward. He tried to get up, but the pain he felt in his neck was paralyzing. It was quickly discovered Michael's neck had snapped. Michael was rushed to the hospital, and as a result of playing with his neighbor's slip and slide, he was left a paraplegic, meaning it was almost impossible to walk or use his hands. The injuries that Michael sustained were permanent, and Michael was obviously upset, so he took it upon himself to sue Kransco. It wasn't until 1991, 4 years after the incident, that a trial took place. Michael was awarded $12 million by a judge. However, Michael and Kransco agreed on $7.5 million. This lawsuit was the first of many that Kransco and Whammo were about to face. In 1988, a university student in Florida named Robert Goldstein was supervising his younger siblings as they played on the slip and slide. Robert couldn't resist missing out on the fun, but as he reached the end of the slide, he broke his neck. He also sued Kransco, and in 1995, he was awarded $1.6 million. It now became evident that the slide wasn't safe for teens either. By 1988, over 5,000 people had gone to the hospital with some kind of slip and slide related injury. But still, this wasn't the end of it. In 1993, the multiple lawsuits were proving difficult for Kransco to handle, and the CSPC made the decision to once again take the slip and slide off the shelves. Over 9 million slip and slide toys had already been sold, and people were still getting injured. In 2001, the Wham-O slip and slide was brought back to stores for the third time with the promise that it was safer and better than ever. The age limit had been changed from 5 to 11 years old to 5 to 10 years old. The change was small, but it seemed to work. The once deadly slip and slide was now seen as a fun toy for kids only. Many versions of the slip and slide have been released since then, and many adults still can't resist the urge to slip and slide around with their children, dangerous or not.